Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Inspiring Infinity. It is I.M. here, and I am here with a part 2 video. This is a follow-up, obviously, from my part 1. It's entitled 97% Dark, 3% Illuminated, question mark. Basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to summarize that first video because it was a mess, to be quite honest. Summarize it and really clarify where I was going with the whole point, and then conclude the whole thing immediately after. I'm going to try and go as fast as possible here, so excuse me if I'm rambling at an odd pace and a bit out of breath. But here we go. To start, I have this whole picture up. Obviously, I don't take credit. I don't know if mallstuffs.com is actually a working website, but I take no credit for this picture. I just found it online, fair use. Anyways, here we go. So I have this up here because what I like to do is I like to take a bird's eye view, kind of zoom out and perceive all the parts of a thing all at once and how they work in tandem, instead of just kind of honing in on one thing at a given point in time. So one way that I like to do that kind of with life and the universe and reality, if you will, is through dimensions and the idea of dimensions. And the way I perceive it is ninefold as far as the universe goes, and then I perceive a three-dimensional creator that is kind of above and beyond and outside, but containing the nine-dimensional universe, and that way we look at it as 12, and I think that's the secret to 12. Anyways, so I put this up so that we can kind of perceive, or try to perceive, higher dimensions, or at least understand how we would begin to do that. And also I like how they pop that zero dimension in there too. That's pretty cool, because that's how I perceive the zero dimension. I think 0 and 9 are the parameters of reality, mathematically speaking, and that's why 9 folds back in on itself. And the 0, any way that you cut a 0, a circle, 360 degrees, it adds right back up to 9. So I perceive that as the infinity loop almost. Like one side is 9, one side is 0. But anyways, so what I want to do real quick too is give you another thing that I kind of keep in the back of my mind. Picture, we have a piece of paper and we draw a stick figure. Let's call him Bob. Bob, the stick figure drawn on this two-dimensional piece of paper, and let's somehow give him consciousness. Now, Bob, the stick figure, now has consciousness. I imagine if I were Bob, I would be perceiving kind of one half of my reality as just this seemingly infinite whiteness. Maybe there's blue lines on it, like notebook paper. I don't know. And maybe that's half of his existence, and then the other half is just this ever-changing blob of imperceptible colors. And it's, whatever. If I move my face up to that piece of paper as the illustrator, to get a closer look at Bob, then that blur that is half of his reality that's ever moving is now, forming into what I know to be my face, but he just can't perceive it. It's beyond his comprehension. So it's just this seemingly infinite blur of colors that, forms into more of a peach while my face is close up to it, or whatever you want to call my skin color. And, so that's how I picture it. And so then to me, it's not totally outside of the realm of possibility to think that that's completely relatable to, a human being looking up, without satellite telescopes and all this fancy radio imagery and, all that. You just look up and see seemingly infinite darkness with small points of light. And some of those points of light move around. Some of them blink these amazing colors. Some of them are barely perceptible. And, you can perceive more of them when you're in a darker spot and there's less light. And, so that's kind of how I look at it. To me, it just makes perfect sense that there's a higher dimension of reality that life is evolving towards, and we just haven't. We're not there yet. You know, we're not ready to do it. And how I think we can perceive that almost firewall, if you will, or just parameters of the coding, if you want to think that way. It's I think it all comes down to the DNA that we consider junk DNA, and the universe, 98% of it, that, or 97-ish, that we consider dark matter, dark energy. 96, 97, whatever it is, but they're so close to me. It just makes sense that there's a relationship there, and it totally fits into my view of reality, and I love it. So that's why I'm making this video series, and I just wanted to share these thoughts with you. Maybe you resonate with it, maybe you don't. That's fine. But that's just where I'm coming from. So let's move into really summarizing this first video fully. So I'm just gonna pull it up here, and I just want to kind of stress that you know, I'm not really an expert in any of these fields. I just, since I was a kid, and you know, physics shows started coming up on TV, I started watching episodes of The Universe and getting into it, and I always loved science experiments and thinking I was a mad scientist. So science was definitely a field I was interested in. I just never did anything with it, you know, professionally or extracurricularly. But you know, nonetheless, it piques my interest, and I've always looked into things and researched and strived to understand. But I am not an expert. I'm not a professional. I'm not claiming to fully understand quantum physics. You know, when I say at the end of this video that this isn't, you know, psychedelic ramblings, or all it is me trying to express how I have seen or come to understand all the facets of the universe and life and reality that I can come to understand. So I don't want to get mixed. I'm not trying to say that I know everything and this is how I'm concluding the entirety of reality. But all of the stuff that I do know, this is how I'm concluding the entirety of reality. At this moment in time, with what I know now. So what I did in this first video was basically just demonstrate to you that there is this thing we consider dark matter, dark energy in the universe, and there is this thing that scientists have called junk DNA. And so all of the stuff that I brought up was really just to kind of like give you a frame of reference as to why I'm thinking these numbers and relating junk DNA and dark matter, dark energy. And I did it, obviously, clearly, in a pretty haphazardly way. But that was just the point of that first video, was to show you I'm not just making things up, like it's coming from something. So now what I want to do is I want to try and conclude and summarize the whole thing. I think I can do it pretty quick here. The way that I look at it, and super fast, I want to share. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. After talking to him about this, he came back to me and he was like, you know, I've been thinking about it, and I looked some stuff up, and you know, different animals have different amounts and different parts of their genome considered junk DNA. So you know, I just don't fully get where you're going, and I was like, okay, I thought about it for a while, and I came back to him and I was like, well, listen, the whole point is we're trying to understand the human frame of reference, and the human's perception of the electromagnetic spectrum is, you know, kind of sevenfold in the colors that we perceive, and ultraviolet light, and you know, there's lower on the scale, there's, you know, infrared, And there's higher on the scale, there's just pure light, and that seems to be the speed limit of the universe. And I don't think that's by accident. I think that's, again, how we see the parameters of where we're at in this program, the parameters of the human program. And so the parameters of a bird program, again, if you want to think about it this way, I don't really prescribe to simulation theory and all that personally. But, and I think a good reason, just real quick, and I'll do another video on simulation theory, but super fast, I think it's like when you look at a video game, there's no real decay rate in anything. It has to be programmed in, and it's still like artificial. It's just nowhere near the decay rate in reality that we see. It's the decay rate of something like, simple example, a human, how a human ages and is actually born. They don't just spring up, like a new character in a video game. It's, and we can program it, obviously, to be more like that if we wanted to, and to really age like a human. But I think no matter what, there's still something missing. So ponder that, and that's kind of why I don't prescribe to simulation theory. But so ultraviolet light kind of is the limits of at least the human perception of the universe. And so, but a bird, for example, now a bird, the way that like a hawk hunts for food, they fly up in the sky and they can actually perceive ultraviolet radiation reflecting off of rodent urine. And straight up, that rodent piss is how they figure out where they should hunt. And so they're perceiving a different spectrum of the a different portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. So it makes perfect sense that a different amount and different portions of their junk DNA would be inactive. It still holds it still holds up with my theory. My theory still holds up through that line of questioning, if you will. I guess that's where I'm going with it. So now what we would have to do is we would have to compare is just how closely the amount of the electromagnetic spectrum that a bird perceives is related to the amount of DNA that is considered junk. But as far as humans, there seems to be a connection, and this is the whole point of this video that I'm trying to make is, from my understanding of everything, there seems to be a connection. And it's not exact. One could argue like, 96%-ish compared to 98%. That's, it's a stretch. And it's like, is it really that much of a stretch to say that? Is it really? And our genetic coding is literally called genetic coding. It's, again, I don't think that there's a coincidence behind all of this. There's a grand design to all of this that we seem to be working towards. And so, to summarize this whole video experience, where I'm going with it is I think we are in a 9-dimensional universe, 9-fold reality. And there's a creator, which is 3-fold, outside of this reality, but also containing this reality. It's just beyond it. And call that God or gods or whatever. Maybe they just wanted to have a baby. Maybe we're just a God baby. And this is how a God baby grows. It grows as a species on what we call a planet and what we call a universe. In a solar system, in a universe. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So this is kind of where I look at it. I look at it more like we are all consciousness in the universe is all one consciousness, and it is the procreation of the Creator, the Son of God, the what have you, and we are just working our way back towards the perfection of Godhood, becoming a creator ourselves. And we're doing that by actually creating this reality as we grow. And I think that's what we're doing. I think that's why humans are manipulating, and it seems like we're this like apex predator, if you will, though predator is not the right term. So that's where I'm going with it. I think that there is a way, and it's just by trying to understand what like an infinite, a god, so to speak, would actually entail, what it would be, and as a human, best we can strive towards that, that perfect humanhood, and if we can do that, I think we move towards being the prime creator of the universe ourselves. And this isn't Luciferian. Like I'm not trying to say that you shouldn't still worship God if that's what you want to do. If you're religious, there's still a way to work this into your understanding. It would just be that you're looking at that threefold God and providing that God with all your worship and your honor and respect and love, and giving it directly to that. So you don't have to give it directly to yourself and cut yourself off from this God. You can do, if that's what you want to do. However, you can also do that as well. I'm just trying to demonstrate how we can understand the parameters of this universe. And that's what this whole video series is. I hope that kind of cleared up a little bit where I was going with all of this. I'm not trying to debate, though I do welcome conversation. So feel free, drop some comments. If you feel so inclined, drop a like. I would love to hear from y'all on where I should go next with this. What should I follow it up with? Maybe I'll follow it up with a conversation about simulation theory. I'm not the most well versed, but I can at least say whether or not I prescribe to it and why. Anyways, I'll let you get back to it. If you enjoyed, like I said, go ahead and drop a like. If you didn't, don't like it. That's totally fine as well. Either way, thank you so much for listening and giving me time to share on my little soapbox here. I appreciate it so much. Keep tuning into Inspiring Infinity here. We're going to try and get back into it, drop some more stuff. As always, look over, there's a Nomad TV playlist which connects to Nomad TV, an alternative account that is focused more on kind of ourselves and our business with being creators and jewelers and musicians. And so we kind of do everything there. Inspiring Infinity is just a channel where we can inspire thought and expression and have conversations and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch y'all on the next one. I am out.